It's time to talk to the man who runs the National Football League, Commissioner Roger Goodell. Roger, welcome back to the show.
Thanks, Mike. Good to be with you.
So we've been watching a lot of Olympics this week, and one of the topics that's come up is, should football be an event in the Olympics? What's your position on that?
Absolutely. We're already taking steps to gain that IOC recognition. We have, I think it's 64 countries that are playing American football now, and that's one of the requirements. And that's been growing dramatically. I think it was 40 just 5 years ago. So we're seeing that kind of growth internationally. It's being played around the world. We have a national federation and a USA Football Federation, and those are the types of things you have to do to become an Olympic sport.
Is there a timetable in mind for getting the game of football into the Olympics?
No, again, those decisions are made by the IOC. They look at how the game is being played around the globe, and we're trying to make sure we continue to broaden the scope of our game, and if they give us the opportunity, we certainly would push for it. How
important is getting a team in London to this broader effort to make football part of the Olympic Games?
Well, Mike, our point is to just keep growing the game, and we're having a tremendous reaction in London and the UK broader for the game of football. Our regular season game over there is sold out again this year. We are seriously contemplating as early as 2013 of playing 2 NFL games next season, and I think we'll do that. It's again a response to the tremendous fan reaction and the growth of the game. And if we can continue to be successful and play more games there and have the reaction we have, we very well may have a franchise in London someday.
Best case scenario, how soon would that be?
I don't know, Mike. I don't put a time frame on it because again, you want to do it successfully, and I think a lot still has to be done and has to be done well before we can do that. So I'm not tied to a time frame as much as I am doing it right.
We're talking to NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell. A lot of people do training camp tours. Not many do them with John Madden. Tell us where you've been with Coach Madden and where you're heading.
Well, it's been a lot of fun. We've had 2 days. We were started off in Green Bay, and then we went to Chicago, drove over to Detroit, and then drove down last night from Detroit to Canton. And to be able to finish here in Canton, Ohio, with the Hall of Fame festivities this weekend, it's a great way to start off the season for me and for John. We love to talk football, so we spend a lot of time on the bus talking about football, what we can continue to do to improve the game. When we're in camps, we have a chance to talk to players, to coaches, and to executives, to the medical personnel, to our fans, and it gives us a real good sense of what's going well, what's not going well, what we need to continue to do. And you can't get that from a report. You have to go talk to people and hear what the players are saying and hear what the coaches are saying. And of course, we spend a lot of time talking to our fans.
And while you're in the Canton area, you've got an event tomorrow in Akron involving helmet replacement. Give us an idea of what that's all about.
Well, it's part of our health and safety initiative on all levels of football. We are partnering with the Consumer Product Safety Commission, and we're going to be replacing helmets. The point is to try to make sure that no one is playing in a helmet that's older than 10 years. So we're going to be trying to get those helmets out of the system and make sure players at all levels are wearing the best possible helmets.
How concerned are you that less kids either are or in the future may be playing football at the youth level?
Well, we want them to continue to play football, but we want them to continue to do it safely. So what we continue to work on is what we can do within the scope of the rules to make sure the game is as safe as possible. What we can do in equipment, and the Consumer Products Initiative is a good example of that. And then we want to make sure that we're doing everything to support the coaches and the people who are administering youth football around the country. We want to make sure those coaches are properly trained. They understand the types of practice routines that should be followed, same as in the NFL in many cases. We're going, as you know, from 2-day sessions to 1-day session. Those are the types of things that are being innovated at the NFL level that are going all the way through football and, quite honestly, through other sports. And we think that's a leadership position that we should be in.
Talking to NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell, taking some time out of a busy schedule in Canton this weekend for the Hall of Fame festivities. Have you spoken to Saints quarterback Drew Brees since he made some pretty strong comments earlier this week?
I haven't. No, I've been on the road, as you know, at training camp.
Do you plan to speak to him when you're both in Canton for the Hall of Fame weekend?
Sure, if I see him, I'd be happy to. I really admire Drew. I've had the good fortune of going to Iraq and Afghanistan with him a couple of years ago. I know his family. I think he's a terrific young man and obviously a great player, so I admire him a great deal.
Drew Brees was asked what the players think of you as the commissioner, and his response was nobody trusts him. What's your reaction when you hear a player like Drew Brees say something like that?
Well, Mike, here's my responsibility. My responsibility is the game of football, and that end has 2,000 players. It has 32 clubs. It has former players, current players, future players. And, you have to continue to do what's best for the game and the integrity of the game. And those aren't always going to be popular. And so, I continue to reach out to all parties. I get great input from all of those different factions in the NFL, and I'll continue to do because they're helpful to me. So the players are an important part of that. The coaches are an important part of that. And we'll continue to reach out for those individuals so we can get that kind of valuable input.
And Brees' comments came up specifically in the context of your power over discipline issues. How much of the criticism overall do you think comes from the perception that you have too much power over player discipline?
Well, Mike, the authority granted to the commissioner comes from the Constitution and bylaws first, and I have some authority with respect to our clubs and to employees in the clubs. The rest of the authority comes right from our collective bargaining agreement, which we just signed a year ago. It hasn't changed really much in the 40 years, except that in some cases I've removed myself from any kind of discipline process. And the best example of that is on the field. Those decisions are made by a former player in our office, and if they want to appeal it, it's heard by either a Hall of Fame player, Art Shell, and coach, or a great former NFL coach, Ted Cottrell, which is all designed through our collective bargaining agreement. And additionally, when you look at the drug program, we've offered, as soon as we can get this HGA program in place, that we would go to third-party arbitration on that. So, that it sounds good, but it's not the reality. What we've done is try to put together systems that are going to make sure that we protect the integrity of the NFL and protect the rules in the NFL. I don't know of any CEO who doesn't care about the brand of their company, in my case, the NFL and the Shield, and we have to make sure we're doing everything to protect that.
You mentioned HGH testing. It's part of the 2011 CBA, signed a year ago tomorrow. Why do we not yet have it, and when will we have HGH testing in the NFL?
Well, we're still working on it. We had conversations with the union just 2 weeks ago. I'm disappointed that it's not in place. It should have been in place last year. There were issues that the union raised that we have been trying to address for close to a year. I think we have. But we still don't have a full agreement on it that we can put in place. And, Mike, we're not going to do it until we really have a program that has integrity. We're not going to do it just to say we have a program. It's got to have integrity, and it's got to be a program that's going to help us make sure that HGH are not being used by players, because this is a huge, in addition to the integrity of the game, it's a huge player safety issue. A lot of times HGH, you don't know what you're putting in the body, because a lot of times it's being taken off the black market, and you could be injecting yourself with something that you really don't know what's in there. That obviously can have tremendous long-term consequences.
Wrapping up with NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell, of all the issues that are out there, good, bad, otherwise, what's your biggest concern as you head into another NFL season?
Well, the number one priority for us always is player safety. We've made a lot more changes in the off-season, and we'll continue to be focused on that. But the overall, it's how do we make the game safer and more exciting for our fans? So the competition, we hope, will be you continue to get stronger. We will always have our challenges, but we will do that in the mindset of making the game safer and making it more exciting for our fans.
Last one for you on a serious note. If it came down to it, could you put on the black and white uniform and officiate a game?
I have great respect for the officials, and you need to really train for that. So that's not that wouldn't be my role, but we've been working with our officials, and we'll hopefully have an agreement. But if we don't, we're prepared to go with the replacement officials.
Your former VP of officiating, Mike Pereira, seems very concerned about that. Is he off base?
Well, our former VP of officiating, Mike Pereira, oversaw our replacement officials in 2001. And we had several weeks with replacement officials that he oversaw. In fact, as I recall, he was on the field. So we can do it. We've done it before, and in fact, this time we'll have close to 3 months of training before doing that, if it's necessary.
Is Mike Pereira in the pool of the replacements this time? Is he coming back out of retirement?
I'm not aware of that. He's gone Hollywood on us.
Well, Roger, thank you so much for your time. I enjoy the Canton festivities, and we'll talk to you again down the road.
Okay, Mike. Good to talk to you.